Hey y'all, so today I'm going to show you how to make a very easy homemade gravy. So I have prepared 2 cups of a broth, and to make that broth I use Better Than Bouillon chicken base. I used Better Than Bouillon roasted garlic base, and then I also used the Better Than Bouillon vegetable base. So when I made the broth, I did use 2 oversized helpings of the chicken and the vegetable bouillon, and then 1 pretty solid tablespoon of the garlic. But I did have 4 cups of water that I added to this, and I used the first 2 cups in cornbread stuffing that I made, and be sure to go check that video out as well. That is also uploaded to the YouTube channel. So we are left with 2 cups of broth that I intentionally made so that we can make this homemade gravy. Okay, so we have our 2 cups of the broth, which is vegetable, chicken, and garlic that I have in here. I want to make sure that our gravy is packed full of flavor. So then we also need a 1/4 cup of milk, which I'm going to measure out really quickly. Just a 1/4. And I also need, sorry guys, I need my cornstarch. Okay, so I need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm gonna get my trusty tablespoon. Put in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Just like that. I'm gonna add our milk to the cornstarch. I'm gonna put a lid on the jar. Make sure that it's on tight, because from here I am going to shake. Now this is a tip that I got from a veteran in this cooking game. Her name is Miss Natalie Lewis, one of my aunties. Hey Miss Nat. But she told me about making your cornstarch slurry in a mason jar or a jar that has a lid and just shaking it. This was a tip that I got from her many years ago when we were discussing cooking holiday meals. And I told her, I said, Miss Nat, you know, I pretty much can make everything from scratch, but I think I'm doing myself a disservice when I turn around and open up a jar of gravy, or I make gravy from a powdery mixture that I'm buying from the store. I said, it's not sitting well. She said, gravy is one of the easiest things to make. I can tell you in 5 minutes. And she told me, make your broth, make your slurry, put it in a jar. You can shake it up. And that's it. She said, you add that slurry, you know, to your pot. It's going to thicken it right up for you. Make sure you season it well. And girl, go about your business. You ain't about to be in the kitchen all day messing around with no gravy. And if you have extra, she said, buy another set of ice trays. Buy them in a different color so that you're able to identify that you only use those for different frozen, you know, type of recipes, food related, so that you don't, you know, make a mistake and use it for, you know, ice. But yeah, that's all that it takes. And she was right. So I'm going to turn our pot on. I'm going to turn it to a medium heat. And then I am going to take 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to add it right to our pan. Just like this. Wipe that back up. And then I'm going to also add our broth right to the pan. Right in there. Then I'm going to take some pepper. I'm not going to use salt. You have to be very careful with using salt with the gravy because of the amount of salt content that is already in your bouillon bases. So I'm just going to go with black pepper. And I'm going to go with my old trusty favorite, that dash of Daisy garlicky onion herb. I'm just going to put a little bit of that right up in there. Right in there. Just like that. That's it. That's it. That's it. I let that come up to a boil. It doesn't have to be like a really rolling type of boil, but I do want it to get some temperature on it so that when we add our slurry to it, in which up until the point that it goes in the pot, I am going to shake this a couple of times just to make sure that all of the cornstarch is incorporated into the milk, because you don't want to put any cornstarch chunks that are not incorporated with the milk into your broth and your butter, because it will clump. And you do not want clumpy gravy. You don't want that. I know I don't. I don't want that. All right. So we're going to let that come to a boil. And then we're going to finish our gravy. We're about another 80 to 90% done with making homemade gravy in minutes. I promise y'all, like, cooking, it takes some thought and some planning and preparation, but it's so simple to make good homemade food that you know all of the ingredients and seasonings that you are personally adding to ensure that, you know, you and your family are getting a good home cooked meal, and it can be as healthy as you want it to be. I promise you it's not hard at all. And I welcome you to please stay with me throughout this journey of the cooking videos, and hopefully you guys will, you know, gain a couple of more recipes for your toolbox. All right, so our broth is coming up to the temperature that we would like. Let me spin this just a little bit so you guys, I'm just going to give it a stir like so. There is a small chunk of butter still in the pan that I would like for that to completely melt before I add our slurry. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time. And while I'm doing that, I'll just go right ahead and start to put some things away. Cleanup is happening too at the same time. That's what I promise you. You don't have to always completely tear down your kitchen and worry about possibly, you know, cooking and cleaning. You can kind of do it as you go along and then, you know, be in a happy space. Okay, so completely up to a boil. All of our butter is now melted. That's what I'm going to do. Give this another shake. Another one. And then I'm adding it right into the pot after I give it a look and make sure that I don't see any clumps in there. Okay? Take my spoon, get to stirring, add our slurry right in there. Just like this. Just like that. You see? And I'm stirring. I'm stirring. And I promise you, with every stroke, it is taking on the consistency of gravy. It is less of the liquid substance that we from the broth, and it is thickening up by the moment. By the moment. It is so easy to make gravy, y'all. I promise. Like, we are pretty much done. We're done. I'm just waiting for it to thicken up just a little bit more. And we are done. And it smells amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it has a nice consistency to it now. It's actually reaching the texture that I would like for my gravy to be. I'll give it another maybe minute to 2 minutes of stirring and watching it. You most certainly do want to keep an eye on your gravy for sure. And I have it on the setting of right in between medium and low. And I'm just stirring. I'm stirring. You know, sometimes, you know, you gotta have the flick of the wrist, honey. The flick of the wrist. Yep. It's there almost. Okay. We're there. We are there. Okay, so now I just take it off of the heat. And guys, we have homemade gravy. It was made out of a chicken, vegetable, and garlic bouillon base. So I'm gonna call this a chicken combination gravy, but it is so packed full of flavor. I promise you, you're gonna love it. Give it a try. And again, as always, please, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Pudding Lady CPMA, because you know your girl, I whips it up in this kitchen, but I'm also a certified professional medical auditor and educator. So yeah, go subscribe, go like, go get in the kitchen and try out some of these recipes. I promise you, they're not going to take you a whole lot of time. And you are going to be so happy with the product. I promise you. All right, y'all. Have a good one. See y'all later.